no, but also yes. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and first of all, I just wanted to say that I began this filming process with my neighbor from across the street staring at me from his yard while I was walking around in my room like this. Insert a witty intro here, and today we're tackling a pretty large and controversial subject, the relationship between the furry fandom and sexuality. It's pretty taboo, I know. I'm sure that almost every single one of you watching is familiar with the reputation of furries. Especially online, our negative reputation definitely precedes us. And every furry has felt the effects of this reputation at some point.
Execute yourself.
First, let me say that it's very difficult to come to any generalized conclusions about the furry fandom as a whole, because furries are such a large community and so many of us come from such drastically different walks of life. Every single furry is an individual just like any normal person, and we all have our own personal reasons for being furries. A lot of people like to argue that furries are fully divorced from sexuality. They usually do this in an effort to defend themselves, and while their personal reasons for being a furry might be completely asexual, that's just not true for the fandom as a whole. So I have done a bit of duding around on a website called Fur Science, and combined with my 7-year experience as a furry, I have decided on a few main categories for the reasons that many furries are involved with our community. The first category is entertainment. And that seems pretty self-explanatory. There's furry content on just about every website and online platform. It does not matter what social media you're on, we are going to be there. And furries create a lot of their own original content on these platforms. For example, one of the forms of furry entertainment that I highly enjoy is Instagram. I love to scroll through fursuit related tags just to look at all the cool fursuits. Another example is watching furry creators on YouTube. That's a form of entertainment. The second category that I would like to address is aesthetics. Essentially, aesthetics is basically just things that we think look nice. Every single person has their own unique sense and taste of aesthetic satisfaction. Like some people like cars or nature settings or fashion, even makeup. A lot of people are aesthetically satisfied by art. And furry art is definitely part of this. Furry art including drawings, paintings, fursuits, etc. Really anything that furries make in an attempt to be creative. And a lot of furries' main reason for being involved with our community is that they just want to consume cool aesthetic art. The third category that I want to talk about is a sense of escapism. Life can be rough. I mean, that's an understatement. And no one is a stranger to struggles. Whether that be something serious or even traumatic, or just the struggles of our day-to-day lives as wage slaves or students. We as human beings use many forms of escapism, even if you don't know that you're doing it. Your favorite shows and media in general, or especially things like alcohol, or if you're from Colorado like me, other substances can definitely be used as forms of escapism. Even just sitting down to watch a YouTube video. For a lot of furries, it's the same concept with our community. Fursuiting and making art, or even just having a persona, is a form of escapism. And really, there's nothing wrong with escapism, as long as it doesn't become an all-consuming obsession. How many categories is that? The fourth category that I want to talk about today is a sense of belonging. This is something that a lot of furries really feel is the most important part about being a furry for them personally. The furry community is just like any other. Similar to clubs in high school or sororities and fraternities at colleges, or fans of sports teams or even public figures. Having a shared interest with a community of people makes a lot of individuals feel included. However, there is something unique about the sense of belonging in the furry community. The furry community is very, very accepting and supportive of LGBTQ plus people. For this reason, a lot of LGBTQ plus people find themselves drawn to the furry community and the sense of safety and acceptance that it provides them with. LGBTQ plus people are free to express themselves in ways that they might not be able to at home or at work or at school just because of how they identify. Feeling a sense of belonging is highly important for people who are commonly victims of prejudice and oppression in regular society. Essentially, our community is a safe space for LGBTQ plus people. If you've got a problem with that, you might actually want to re-examine what a safe space actually is instead of just listening to what the internet culture tells you a safe space is. And finally, we have the category that most of you came here for: sexual attraction and fetishes. Most furries are involved with our community for dual or multiple reasons. And you know what? One of those reasons can be for a fetish. However, there definitely are a lot of furries who are solely involved with our community for strictly asexual reasons. But there is also the subset that's involved with our community for fetish reasons alone. The reasons that people have for being involved with the furry fandom is a very, very wide spectrum. And you know what? I have absolutely no problem with people who are part of our community just for sexual reasons. Consenting adults can do anything they want together as long as they're not harming anyone, and I shouldn't be standing in the way of that. Why do people find furry to be such an appealing fetish? Here's my speculation. No one really completely knows why people develop specific kinks, and most of the time, kinks are not voluntary. A popular speculation is that fetishes evolve throughout your life as a result of exposure. And a lot of people were exposed to anthropomorphic characters throughout their life. These include things like Barney, Arthur, Ninja Turtles, Cow and Chicken, Sonic especially, even things as simple as cereal mascots. And of course, we cannot rule out the unholy hydra that are Disney's animated films. Those things are packed full of furries. With aesthetic appreciation for anthro characters already growing on people throughout their childhood, it might make sense that as we mature and especially go through puberty, we start to look at these characters through a different, sometimes more sexualized lens. Sort of in the same way that you start thinking of your peers at school or work in a different way that you might never have thought about them before. But hey, I am by absolutely no means a psychologist, and this is just my theory. It really also doesn't help that a lot of these furry characters are drawn specifically to be sexual and, of course, seductive. I'm looking at you, Lola Bunny. Sexual attraction is also very entangled with aesthetic satisfaction. Something can be aesthetically satisfying, like purely in an asexual way, like maybe a car or a landscape, but they can also be aesthetically appealing in a sexual way, like maybe a sexy sports star or a supermodel. It's really the same concept with furries. Here's a quick example. A Beatrix Potter character might be aesthetically appealing in a completely asexual way. You just think it looks cool. Where on the other hand, our friend Lola Bunny is aesthetically appealing in a sexual and seductive way. And most furries appreciate both types of this aesthetic satisfaction. A lot of furries also see being part of our community as a strong sense of identity. And it makes sense that someone's sexuality would also play a role in their sense of personal identity. I think a good parallel for this might be fans of anime or cartoons in general. There are a lot of anime fans that make being an otaku or a weeaboo part of their personal identity. And you often see with these people that sexy anime characters become part of that interest and part of that identity. You might even say that they develop a kink for animated characters. This next topic is a huge taboo, and I'm prepared for a lot of furries to kind of be mad at me for even talking about this in a public sphere. Mersuiting. A huge misconception about furries is that our fursuits are basically just glorified sex toys, and the vast majority of suits are absolutely not. People don't understand that fursuits are expensive, one-of-a-kind works of art. All of these things are handmade and crafted by individuals from our community. None of them are mass-produced, and most furries would never ever risk damaging their suit. The majority of furries do not have sex in our fursuits. However, a few of us do. These fursuits are usually custom-made mersuits. It is very largely agreed upon in the furry community that mersuits are for private use only and are not to be worn in public. Mersuits are also not to be sold secondhand unless you fully disclose exactly what the suit was used for before you sell it to someone. Plenty of non-furries roleplay with props and costumes, and mersuiting is really no different. The key word in all of this is anthropomorphic, meaning that these characters have mostly human bodies and completely human mental capacities. There are 100% shitty people in our community, just like in every other community, but those people are the exception and not the rule. And these problematic people can definitely have their voices boosted on the internet. As for myself, my reasons for being a furry are mainly the sense of belonging, the aesthetic satisfaction, and the entertainment. My fursona, Sawyer, is also more of a safe for work character. Because my fursona is tied so closely to myself as a real person, not safe for work images of her would make me feel really uncomfortable. I think it's important to be open and honest about our community because we're really shrouded in so much mystery and so much negativity. And I highly encourage you guys to go check out the website Fur Science for more furry data. Alright guys, later losers!